That scene where after they sleep together and it's the four of them,
Yeah.
and I watch that and just go, that is a masterclass. It's so perfectly written. All of the characters, the way they're all turning to each other, quite like all the callbacks, like I think I'm coming down with something. Like there's so many catchphrases in just one film.
This is the 85th episode of Flixwatcher. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, film fans. In our studio today, we have Jay.
Hi.
Joe.
Hello.
And Kobe.
Hi.
And we are reviewing the Rob Reiner, Nora Ephron classic When Harry Met Sally.
Yay.
Come find us on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod. Visit the website flixwatcher.tv for full listings, and don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us an awesome review.
So all films were available on Netflix at the time of recording, guys. Just as a bit of a warning, there is some bad language and there will be spoilers. You have been warned.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher Podcast. We have today in our studio Joe and Jay. If you would like to tell the listeners about the podcast that you do, please.
Yes, we are podcasters who go under the name JoJCast.
And that's actually your intro as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I somehow always seem to do this weird JoJCast. Don't know where it came from.
Quite sinister.
It's pretty creepy.
It is. Yeah, Joe seems to think it's a thing that I should do. But yeah.
Oh, it's me.
It's definitely me. But yeah, we're two screenwriters who talk about film, TV, a little bit music, politics, and we try and come at it from a writing angle. So when we're looking into new films or old films or whatever, we kind of drill down a little bit into the nitty-gritty behind what makes a screenplay.
And you've guested.
I've guessed it on one episode. You do a series called State of the Sitcom.
We do.
Yeah, is that coming back?
Yeah, we've got season 2 coming up. Probably going to be beginning of next year.
So beginning of 2019.
2019.
So depending on when we put these out.
Yeah, so we kind of look at the whole history of sitcoms from I Love Lucy up to The Good Place and beyond. Mm-hmm. And we've had some great guests on there, like Kobe himself. And yeah, we've got we've had the Wine and Crime podcast and some other big podcasts. And yeah, we're coming back and we've got some very well-known classic 90s sitcoms coming up, which I think might have been on Netflix at some point. So yeah, get ready for that.
One of them Friends?
Yeah, that's what I'm alluding to.
Yeah, we talked about it.
But yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. 2018 Friends is quite an interesting watch.
Yeah, we've said that a few times, haven't we?
Friends was crap anyway, so yeah. I'm not surprised.
One of the few. But I mean, what in terms of what have you uncovered so far in your State of the Sitcom? Because there seems to be a really good, kind of big resurgence with sitcoms nowadays, with things like The Good Place, but also for me, animated sitcoms, The Big Mouth and Birds and Horsemen and Rick and Morty. What are your thoughts on the era that we're in?
I think it's a great era. I'm really excited about it. I didn't realise how big a sitcom person I was until we started looking into the State of the Sitcom podcast thing. And it's really nice because every new one that comes out feels like it's subverting it in a whole new way. Mm-hmm. And that's really fun because we kind of all got to the point where we all knew the rules. And so it's nice to see them broken. That's another sitcom.
So, yeah, I mean, at the moment, I don't like to say favourites, but the one that stands out to me at the moment is The Good Place. Yeah. And for me, that should be like the worst sitcom ever.
It's
on NBC. It's with Kristen Bell, who I didn't like at all before The Good Place. Apart from the fact that Ted Danson's on there, that had no real appeal for me. But you just watched it. For me, every single episode is like, holy fuck, how are they doing it?
Yeah. I'm exactly the same. I should not enjoy it, but it somehow keeps me going, keeps me laughing.
You took quite a lot of convincing to watch that one.
Yeah. But then also something like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which when it started, I just wasn't interested at all.
I've really got into that.
It's totally sucked in now, and just like, why would you cancel it? It's brilliant. It's really adapted. It's grown.
Well, that's Michael Schur again, isn't it?
It is Michael Schur. We do like a bit of Michael Schur.
I do have issues with Brooklyn Nine-Nine though, because in the same way the first couple of seasons of Parks and Rec was so focused on on Leslie Knope,
It just forgets.
you have all these other characters like Nick Offerman and everyone else. I find that Brooklyn Nine-Nine is too focused on Andy Samberg when you've got Andre Braugher, or like Chelsea Peretti. Every time she's on screen, it's fucking brilliant.
She's amazing.
And I just don't think they have enough. I think it's too much on him, which kind of irritates me a bit.
Early Community as well. And this is the type of thing we were uncovering on State of the Sitcom is how many there are. Like, you just forget, because with all the TV, like, we like watching drama as well. And so you just miss so many sitcoms, and going back and finding something like Community or It's Always Sunny or something. And there's so many great sitcoms out there. And finding out what's good and what's not so good. And then
it takes a lot of commitment before you can ascertain whether it is actually kind of for you or not.
I really did not like Parks and Rec for 3 seasons. And then I went, I kind of get it for 2 seasons. And then it's rubbish again. But that's just me.
Well, I guess from sitcoms to rom-coms.
Ooh.
Nice segue.
Your choice, Jay. So can you give us a 2-minute synopsis and then tell us why you chose it?
When Harry Met Sally is a film about relationships, I feel, and specifically the growth of a relationship between the titular characters, Harry and Sally. But then actually it's about the people and how that relationship affects everyone around them. And I think the big question is, this rom-com asks that a lot don't, is can men and women be friends? I mean, it's a little bit straight focused of that. It's only really asking, can straight cis men and women be friends? It doesn't really worry itself about any other questions at all. But it's really kind of boiling down into these 2 characters meeting throughout their lives and whether they can be friends or whether they are something more, and the whole concept of love itself.
Nice. How many times have you seen this film, guys? Go around the table.
2 for me.
Okay.
7 or 8?
Yeah, probably about 5.
Yeah, I think I'm in the 5 kind of region. Yeah, I just think it's quite nice to see where people, especially like 80s films, we've had a couple recently, Midnight Run for myself and like Into the Night, where when we were growing up in the 80s, you either saw a film like Never or you saw it like all the time.
Exactly.
And
this was a never for me.
This was never for you. So you saw this, you came to this quite late, did you?
Yeah, it literally within the last 12 months.
Okay.
And it's really interesting because I think it's kind of why I chose it. Is I should not like this film. If you asked a 17-year-old Jay Taylor whether he wants to watch When Harry Met Sally, absolutely. Like, I want to watch Evil Dead, I want to watch American Werewolf in London, I want to watch something else. And then I saw it and there's something in it that is completely not what I expected. And that's what I found really interesting about this film.
And I think that's quite, for something that you would have ideally seen when you were younger, to make that kind of impact on you, and it had an impact in later life.
Thanks Kobe.
So old.
Really feeling that.
So it gives kind of a nice allusion to the kind of scores you're going to give it. But also, I don't think I saw this when it wasn't 80. Like you say, it would have been, can I watch Ghostbusters instead, please? Because this is about 2 women, 2 people kissing. Which wasn't on my radar. Can I see twins, please?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts, Helen? When did you first watch When Harry Met Sally?
So I think I must have watched this maybe mid 90s, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were 50, like teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit younger.
Was it one of those things people had said to you, like you should, or you just always knew about it but never got around to watching it?
I think like Empire gave it like 5 stars or something. It was on my list of films to watch, something like that. And I would have been a big Meg Ryan fan then anyway.
But this was the Meg Ryanist of Meg Ryan, wasn't it? Or are you thinking Top Gun or?
Well, for me, it would have been the one she did with Tom Hanks.
Sleepless in Seattle?
No, before
You've Got
then.
Mail.
Was the one they did before? Am I thinking of something else?
I'll
come back to you.
Yep.
Joe, you've seen it a few times.
Yeah, so I reckon I probably first saw it probably when it like came to video. I think like my mum probably rented it and I was like, I'm watching this too. I'm 8. I'm old enough for this. Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't really get it at the time because I think I was just too young to really understand a lot of the jokes and things. But yeah, I've watched it sort of probably sporadically, let's say a couple of times maybe in my teens. And then, yeah, I've watched it quite a bit recently because it's quite comforting.
Yeah?
Yeah, in a weird way. Because I know there are obviously some issues with it. But yeah, and where was I going with that? Yeah, so I've come back to it in my 30s and I get it now.
Yeah.
Which is something.
I think that's the thing. When I can't remember when I first watched it, but I'm sure I just didn't understand like half the jokes. Hadn't been in any relationship before,
Yeah.
and I think it does take that bit of experience maybe to ground it for you.
Or just like you said about Ghostbusters. So I used to watch that film. I had no idea of the amount of sex jokes and
In Ghostbusters, yeah.
all the kind of things they touch on. And it would have been like this. You would have watched this film and just gone, oh, it's the funny scene where I don't think you would have had the
It would have been,
awareness.
he's doing a pecan pie voice. Yeah, I like that bit.
That's the one bit
Yeah.
for me.
Joe versus the volcano.
So, first of all, okay. Is that
was
a good film?
Oh,
So I remember watching when I was a kid and it just didn't hit me. It might be like this. It might be like When Harry Met Sally.
I don't think it's their best.
Yeah.
No.
Because I think this was just, I would have watched it because of Tom Hanks rather than Meg Ryan. Coming off, which was before that, this Joe versus the Volcano or Burbs. That was one of my favourite films as a kid.
Yeah.
I think they were about the same time. The Burbs might have been a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Tom Hanks was offered the role of Harry.
Oh, really? And what did he say?
He said no because it was too shallow, I think he said.
I mean, he is kind of shallow at the start.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I couldn't imagine anyone else in
Really
this role.
weird, isn't it?
No.
It just makes you remember how great Billy Crystal is, and he kind of looks a little bit like Mark Ruffalo with hair.
Apart from in the bit on the plane where he's doing this weird comb over thing.
I think that's quite generous to Billy Crystal.
Is he not a good-looking guy? Is that what you're saying?
I never said those words.
I think we're going to, I can't imagine anyone of our age now not liking this film, especially coming off yourself, Jay, saying you hadn't seen it until the last 12 months and you were...
I think, there's so many films where I come to, and with guesting on podcasts like this, we're doing podcasts ourselves, we do have to rewatch a classic. And so often I'm rewatching it going,
Why is this a classic?
And I instantly love this film. I don't know why. I'd never seen it. And it's so rare to kind of watch something that I knew all the references from The Simpsons, as with everything, every reference of any film from The Simpsons. I knew all the scenes. I'd seen the bloody Channel 4 countdowns where they show the Meg Ryan scenes and stuff. So I shouldn't have enjoyed it, but it was totally different to what I expected. And that's the thing, I think.
But I think the reason it's so good is because it's Rob Reiner and Nora Ephron kind of at their height. And it's just so well written. And it's one of those really rare romantic comedies or kind of films from the 80s that is still as good and is not uncomfortable, because we've mentioned Sleepers in Seattle. That film is awful. She's like this crazy stalker. And a lot of the concepts of what were romantic comedies viewed through 2018 eyes are not particularly romantic and quite scary. And this is a rare one in that it's exactly the same now.
Yeah. It's steeped in truth from the start. They've both left college.
Yeah. They've
got no experience in life. Like, well, we're not going to be friends because men and women can't be friends. And that's what he probably genuinely thought at the time when they met. And I love how they go through this kind of just meandering relationship of like really being cool and just hanging out. And then this one day there is that kind of, oh shit, there is something there.
Yeah.
I want interspliced. What do you guys make of those couples on the sofa?
I love
those.
You did literally well up this when we watched this.
Yeah, I find them really heartwarming. And for a film where the sort of personality is a lot of people kind of being quite self-involved and there's a certain kind of edge to everybody. Which I love. Don't get me wrong, I don't want that to sound negative. I do like this film. But I really love how honest and sweet all those stories are. And I know that the people actually on the couches are actors. They're like verbatim shows sort of thing. But the way that they've got that kind of like chiming in, like they're telling each other stories, it's just super cute. I think it's a really nice storytelling idea.
But I didn't know they were actors first. It was only because of investigating. But I would have been totally like, yep, they're off the street in New York. They're real.
So what are your thoughts on it? High level thoughts, guys, before we get into...
I mean, for me, like, one of the reasons I picked it is it's so... Something I picked up on watching it a second time is you were saying it's Nora Ephron and Rob Reiner at their peak. It is Nora Ephron and Rob Reiner. Like, she was a fussy eater that used to take 10, 15 minutes to order her meals. He was a grumpy pessimist who literally would read the last page of a book in case he died before he... Like, so much of it is true to life. And then I was watching some of the scenes, like, where they're in the car and going, this is a stand-up. This sounds like a Billy Crystal stand-up routine. The problem with when you're having a meal with a girl, it's so... You could have given that material to Eddie Murphy or someone else in the 80s and they would have done it in a different way, but it would have worked because it's just true. And
that's why I feel it wouldn't have worked in the same way with Tom Hanks, because he's a funny guy.
He's an actor,
yeah. But Billy Crystal's like... I don't think I've seen many Billy Crystal stand-up, but every time I see him do something, it's great. And I think, I need to see more Billy Crystal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I've got loads more before we go to the scores. So
go.
I mean, reasons why this film is great. It's set in New York,
and they love that it's set in New York. Like they make it. It looks like
part of the
looks
film.
Beautiful.
It looks like a tourist video almost.
Yeah. We've got some pictures up. I mean, they're walking through Central Park, and it looks great. Obviously, you can go to, it's Katz's Diner, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can go there.
They've even got the sign there where Harry Met Sally was filmed.
They have cool rooftop parties next to the Empire State Building.
Of course.
Wow.
The apartment, everything.
What's that Marble Archie place where she drops Harry off?
Oh, what is the name of that? We'll call it Marble Arch.
The Marble Arch, the New York Marble Arch. Someone tell us what that's called.
The soundtrack. So you'll end up singing the songs.
Louis
They're
Armstrong.
all kind of, classic old-timey songs. Jumpers. There's some great jumpers in this. Meg Ryan's wardrobe in this is fantastic.
What she wears the first time, those
the shorts,
kind of short...
yeah.
What is that?
the shorts,
safari.
yeah.
What is that?
The hair.
I like some of his styling. I'm definitely taking some of his cardigans.
Yeah, I mean, I love all of her clothes, and Meg Ryan is so adorable in this. I think she's absolutely amazing in it. What else have we got?
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher, yeah, she's on there.
You're right.
She's
I know
brilliant.
you're right.
Every time she's on screen, I'm just all over. I'm on the floor. I think she's brilliant in this.
Brilliant. It references Casablanca. So any film that, references Casablanca gets points.
It picked up, there was quite a few. There was Lady Vanishes, Casablanca, and I think it was Metropolis. Like there was quite a few classic films mentioned at each decade. And it was like, there's a nice through line here of film lover. It's really, really funny.
Yeah.
The bit that you made a woman meow is really funny. The split screen while they're both watching the film and on the phone is just a really...
It's a classic now from that. It must be...
Lovely thing. Pecan pie.
Yeah.
It's quotable.
You're a human affront to all women. I love that. I thought that was just lovely.
And yeah, it's just great. And it's a really, really, really great film about friendship because their best friends are their best friends. And, that's a really great relationship. It's kind of interesting because you are a little bit to the end going, maybe they might not get together. There's always that element of, maybe it won't, maybe.
Well, that's how it was written at the start. Because as Joe was saying, Rob Reiner kind of changed the ending because he was out of a relationship at the time, and then whilst filming, he got into a relationship and thought, I'm actually let's make this ending happy, and that's literally what did it.
But you could it could almost be one of those adventure games, like where you click the right button near the end. Because I could perfectly happily watch them not get together.
Yeah.
And I could happily watch them get together. It's not many films do that where you genuinely would be happy either way.
There's the scene where they're singing in the shop with the karaoke machine, and he bumps into his ex.
The Pictionary. I love the Pictionary game.
Was it
Baby fish
Baby fish
mouth.
mouth.
Yeah, all the kids are saying little baby fish mouth.
There's just so many great things about this.
It's. I mean, the dialogue in this film is
So
incredible.
sharp, isn't it?
Yeah, it's you find out so much about the characters from very little time. In the first 5 minutes, you know so much about them, and it's so what's the word? Eloquent and efficient in its storytelling. I think it's a masterclass in dialogue and snappy stuff.
I really loved like the first few interactions that they have, and straight off the bat, he's spitting grapes out the window.
I've written
It's
down the
really
grapes.
funny as well.
I love that.
And just straight into like it's almost like a character assassination on her. But I think he's just being like, typical cocky. I've just finished college. This is my life. I'm here to take on the world. Through to the next time when he meets her in the airport, and initially kind of like, I know you from somewhere, but I can't twig. To hey, did we? Is that how I know you? And that kind of like just general cocky discourse, I love that. I love that. And she gives as good as she gets as well in this, which is fantastic.
Well, she asks him out on a date, like the first date that I'm sure she's the one that actually asks him to go for dinner and stuff. Like it's so often like Helen was saying, of everything's a bit seedy, and either the woman's crazed lunatic or the man is doing something. Like we watched About Time a few years back and really enjoyed it, and then suddenly realised, oh my God, he's going back and gaslighting. He's manipulating her. It's really dark.
So many of those. P.S.
So
I love
many.
you.
Yeah, like just
I'm gonna stalk you from the grave.
like, time traveler's wife. I'm gonna go back and just weird. But this is about them meeting, and she's constantly on the same level as him. She's always talking, and her dialogue is just as smart and solid as his. It's not kind of one up and one down. It's just.
I mean, that orgasm scene, for example, is the all-time classic, and that's coming off the back of him saying, she had a good time. How do you know? And that just turned into the scene where it's like, oh, I don't. Women fake their orgasms, do they? And the classic line, I'll have what she's having.
Yes. I'm sure they must be so annoyed at Kat's telling right now.
There must be some kind of prize to give to people. There must be at least someone once a month does the orgasm scene.
Probably once a day.
Yeah. Worked that long enough. What do you guys make of Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby in this? I thought these were good supporting characters.
Great.
I love Carrie Fisher in this. I think she's hilarious. There's one particular moment when the third time that Harry and Sally meet in the bookstore, and Sally's there with Carrie Fisher's character, whose name escapes me, and she's already like halfway down the stairs and out by the time that she's about to introduce her. It gets me every time. I think she's brilliant in this. Bruno Kirby, I think, kind of gets a bit of a raw end in terms of a character, as an actor playing a character, because Billy Crystal is doing a very kind of stand-up-y routine thing, so he kind of doesn't get that much to do because he's just kind of reacting to Billy Crystal, whereas with Sally, the whole point is that she's kind of counteracting him. I feel like Bruno Kirby's character is a little bit like
underplayed, but I think that's
But then I also think like that scene where after they sleep together and it's the four of them, and I watch that and just go, that is a masterclass. It's so perfectly written. All of the characters, the way they're all turning to each other, quite like all the callbacks. Like, I think I'm coming down with something. Like, there's so many catchphrases in just one film, and I just had no idea that they were all in one film.
Well, yeah, so much of so many lines from this are like massive parts of our collective ideas, the zeitgeist as such. And I was wondering if these were all originated in this film, or were they already there? Like, I can't work out if this is the origin of things like someone being high maintenance.
Yeah, I was thinking of this on this rewatch.
Well, I was trying to think. I couldn't think of it. What is the film where they get married and either like the best man gives the groom the speech from when Harry met Sally for his wedding speech, and he thinks this is a great speech and doesn't realise it's from when Harry met Sally.
I
But obviously
Dunno.
the bride does, and she's like, my husband you didn't write this. This is the speech from... It's really annoying me because
I don't know what that is.
there is a film where that happens. So if anyone listening goes, I know what the film is, please tell me, because it's been driving me insane.
I'm not that up on rom-coms, so... But I want to be after this. Like,
I thought I was, but I don't recognise that one, I'm afraid.
But this is the problem.
exists.
This is the problem with rom-coms. They're not. Very few of them are When Harry Met Sally.
yeah,
That's the problem.
this really is the benchmark.
Yeah.
Like,
A lot of them kind of
The
they
one I
fail to
say
stick the landing.
kind of come close. Annie Hall,
Yeah.
I think, is probably
Yeah.
on par.
I really enjoy Crazy Stupid Love.
That's very good.
Yeah.
That's very strong.
yeah.
Surprisingly so. I'm like, no, let's watch Crazy Stupid Love again. Why not?
Is that Julia Roberts?
No, it's
Steve Carell, isn't
Steve
it?
Carell, Ryan
okay.
Gosling,
No, I've not
Emma
seen
Stone.
that.
It's one of the Stone Goslings
Oh,
combos.
Stan Gosling.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's in our watch list.
Okay.
It's recommended.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll be surprised.
But yeah, I think Annie Hall and this are quite both in their
New York thing.
very New York, very witty, but also a very particular New York. In the same way that a lot of people watching Notting Hill by Richard Curtis or Four Weddings will go, I don't know that London. That is definitely not the London I know.
That's not the size of an average apartment.
It's kind of got this. If you go to New York, or if you went to New York at that time, I don't think it would be quite true to life in terms of
5 years after college, you've got a massive apartment.
joy. And the rug the size of a fucking football pitch. Like, I was like, what is that rug? But it did enough for me to kind of make me realise if this is the genre, then I'm really want to embrace more that's done to this level. But Kobe's making me realise there's probably not that many more.
Well, we had a previous guest, Elizabeth Sankles, at Sankles on Twitter, who's writing. She's doing a documentary on rom-coms at the moment. So
Nice.
when that comes out, we'll tweet that, because I'll be interested, because for me it's been a kind of genre which I like the concept, but generally like the last third tends to wane a lot and irritate me.
Yeah, and I think this did so much to start Meg Ryan, who basically took over the 90s with Julia Roberts of every big rom-com.
Female character.
And I think, like, talking about Nora Ephron as well, all of them are a bit diminishing returns. Like,
That's what I was going to say, because when she died, it was like a lot of people, super quotes her as like one of the best female screenwriters ever. But looking down the list, I think I've only seen When Harry Met Sally, and the rest of the ones I haven't seen because I've heard they're not that good. And Sleepless in Seattle was one that Helen said there. You've got Mail.
It's just a very bizarre concept. I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's probably interesting to watch now. I think I remembered enjoying it because it was Tom Hanks.
That was the one where the kids, Tom Hanks' son, sets him up with Meg Ryan.
But isn't the little kid really annoying in it?
The kid basically phones into this radio show saying that he wants to find a girlfriend for his dad because his mum's died. And then Meg Ryan basically stalks him and then meets him at the top of the Empire State and, hey, they're in love.
And there's this one, Michael, which is...
John Travolta's an angel.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to say that I've seen this a couple of times during the 90s.
What's it like?
It's not great, no.
does that photo, the poster of it, just makes me go, who wants this film?
It sums up the film really well, actually.
This is in between, like, Look Who's Talking and Pulp Fiction.
This is the downtime of John Travolta's career.
I mean, I can recommend some good romantic comedies.
I was talking Nora Ephron specifically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I think I've seen You've Got Mail, but I mean, that's already dated. So
We watched it fairly recently and it is so dated.
Meg Ryan, I quite like City of Angels.
I don't think I've seen that.
Did she write that?
No.
Oh.
But we're on Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan.
No, she didn't. But that's sort of a remake of another film that I can't remember the name of.
It's got Nicolas Cage in it.
It has.
On quite normal,
Yeah.
quite dialed down form. Yeah, I remember that. I think it was the Goo Goo Dolls did the soundtrack.
Yeah, it
The
did.
song, yeah.
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 Classic 1999.
Right. Should we head on to the scores, guys?
And see how these scores are going to go.
Because I think I could just talk, there's so much to talk about, but yeah, scores-wise, it's good.
So these are Flixwatcher scores. They are all out of 5. You can have decimal places if you wish. And we will start with you, Jay, as you picked it with the recommendability.
I mean, it's going to be a 5. I can't not pick a 5 if the minute I watched this, I instantly fell in love with it and wanted to almost watch it again. So yeah, I kind of definitely on a very, very, very strong 5 there.
I think I'd probably go with let's say 4.7.
You're so conservative.
I think that's no one's ever said that about me. No, just because I really like it and I have recommended it to people. I do think it's really good. But it is very much of its time as well. So if you're kind of coming at it completely fresh in 2018, it's good. It's really good and it does stand up for the most part. But it's also, I don't know if I hadn't ever seen it before now. I know you have, Jay. But I mean, I find that interesting. I do. But I don't know if I would recommend it to everybody, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought, I was quite, sorry, 4.7 you're going for.
Yeah.
On this rewatch, I was picking up a few things which I thought were a bit like, oh, that's a bit, you wouldn't get that now. Like when it's all about ladies being single in the 80s was like the worst thing that was ever could happen to you. And I found that kind of off-putting, and you know, Carrie Fisher's character having like a Rolodex of single people to try and set her up with. That was kind of the thing you wouldn't get nowadays. And I did just check now to see if it passed the Bechdel test, and which it did do, because I was one of those things I was like, is this not that the Bechdel test is the true divining rod, but it's still kind of interesting, and it does pass the
I'm
Bechdel
surprised
test.
Actually, because
Yeah,
it does
I
feel
thought
like
they were always talking about
men. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh,
So it does. So it's not just when the girls are talking, ladies are talking. It's not just about the guys. There is some of the. So I was pleasantly surprised because I thought, I'm not sure it's quite up to speed. Helen,
It's got to be a 5. I so enjoyed watching this again. I just think it's probably the best romantic comedy ever made.
Yeah.
It's I just really enjoy it. I think it's great. If you haven't seen it, then I mean, I watched it on New Year's Eve one year.
Yeah.
It's a great film to watch on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
that's what we did this year. Yeah, we watched it on New Year's Eve, made some food at home.
It is festive, isn't it?
it ends at New Year's Eve as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But also, so many people will do that thing of, this is the best such and such of all time. And normally I'm like, I'll give it that. Like, I genuinely don't think there's anything that comes close.
And I get what you're saying about that, but kind of the way that they're doing it and how close the friends are, they're kind of doing it not in a bitchy way. They're more sort of in a kind of New York way, and like there's like, you'll find someone, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm not offended.
I'm not
as a
offended by
feminist.
it, but I kind of thought, I need to just.
Yeah, I mean, if they made it now exactly the same, but with kind of a modern feel, then they probably wouldn't have that bit.
They wouldn't have the bits.
No.
And I think, like, talking about the 2018 thing, because it's such a close, it's literally about 2, maybe 4 people, that I don't get that same feeling I do with some films of going, you kind of should have shown a bit more diversity. You should have shown a bit, because it's literally
It's tightly about those 4. Yeah, so I'm
so tight-knit, yeah.
To the point where, like, even if they're like shopping for books or something, even then they're looking at self-help books. Like, everything is about them.
Well, there's that great line when they're in the bookshop where someone's looking at you over in personal growth or something. It's really funny.
I'm going for a 4.8 on this.
Nice.
Yeah. I can't.
Not quite Back to the Future then.
Not quite Back to the Future. My
What is, I know, yeah, your
benchmark is.
I mean, it's up there.
What did I lose points on? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think I was. I can't remember. I'll come back to that. Repeat viewing score. Jay, you've seen it twice in 12 months.
Yeah, no, I mean, that kind of says it.
And for the first time.
I'm going to go for a 5 because I literally said, as we finished watching it that first time, I could watch it again. It's also It's on Netflix. It's 90 minutes. And when we saw that yesterday,
1:35.
it wasn't yesterday, but when we watched it, and I just was like, oh, great, you can just fit it in. It's not like it's a lovely thing to just stick on and go, yeah, we got 2 hours before the parents are coming down or something, and you just I don't know. It's just coming up with
a typical scenario.
when you're sat there and you're like, well,
how much time we got?
How many films can we watch before they arrive? Let's not tidy up. Let's just watch a film with the right length.
It's not something to put on before clubbing, is it? But yeah, so I absolutely just think it's so we're on repeat. Yeah,
5
repeat viewing. Yeah.
Sorry, I remember why I took it down a couple of notches. It's because I think that like the first time I watched it, I just didn't understand why it was good. And I kind of, like I said, there's some comic beats that's like, okay, that's kind of funny, but it's with experience. So I think if you're a younger person, if you just, if you're early 20s, I don't think you'd get that much out of it, as much out of it as you would do as older people.
We're the couples that, are talking in the middle.
People.
Yeah.
I remember meeting you.
Joe, repeat viewing score.
I mean, I've watched this more often than Jay, so I'm going to definitely be with a 5. And actually, to further to your point, I think I've laughed more each time I've watched it. I almost feel like I'm in on the joke kind of thing. So yeah, I love watching this film. It's just it's a really good film to watch when you're ill as well.
Nice. Helen.
It's a 5. I've seen this loads of times and I just really, really enjoy it. And like I say, it's only 1 hour, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just love watching it.
I was quite surprised because I checked the running time for the first time. I was quite surprised it was so short because they pack a lot in there. Maybe it's just it's dialogue driven and a lot of things happen in there. But I was like, yeah.
It's over like 12 years of their life and you get that feeling. You don't feel like shortchanged. It's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot in there.
My benchmark for like films that, excuse me, for films that show a sense of time and pace is Prisoner of Azkaban, because you feel like you can really see the seasons changing and everything. And I get the same feeling with this of like, I really feel like I've grown with them over these 12 years.
I mean, you have the juxtaposition of going shopping for Christmas trees when they're a couple, and then the next time, not a couple, but they're friends, and they're falling out the next time, and she's falling over, the Christmas tree's falling over, and she's having to drag it to the flat by herself. And I love the sense of time passing in a more natural way like that, rather than they did have it, the 5 years later kind of thing, but...
You don't really need it even necessarily, because you can see just from the way they're dressed, how they are in life and stuff.
It's the big, it kind of picks up on the big moments and the small moments and makes just as much of a deal of both of them. So New Year's Eve, everyone's a big moment. Yeah. But also picking up a tree or watching a film like...
Or going to a bookshop.
Yeah, it does. It treats them all in the same way, and I think...
It's a 5. 5. It's one of those things, it's a weird thing where it's accelerated my repeat viewing as I get older. Again, going back to the age and understanding and being in relationships of a substantial time. I'm sure I saw it a couple of times in the 80s when it first came out and didn't understand the orgasm scene at all. So why would you? And then when you're like 15, I know what that means. But then you haven't had the relationships kind of thing. But like you're saying, Joe, you pick up more and you can relate to more as with experience. I don't want to say age. I've just said age.
You said it many times, Kobe. I'm starting to worry.
It's because also she's like, I'm going to turn 40. Yeah. When? Like in 8 years' time. I'm like, shit. Yeah. I'm nearly 40. Small screen score. Has anyone actually seen this in the cinema?
That's why I really struggled on this, because I only know it, well, me personally, but I also think everyone only knows it on a VHS copy or on TV from sat at home. But, as Helen pointed out earlier, I think it would look amazing on the big screen. Like these massive New York vistas, I really want to see it there. So I did knock it down from what would have been a healthy high score to around a 4.
Around a 4 or a 4?
It is a 4.
Joe?
I've only ever seen it on the small screen, ranging from awful early 90s, terrible old TVs to now. And I've enjoyed it. So I think it's got to be don't see why it can't be a 4.5, I guess. Because there'll be other films that are better. They need to go up to the 5 level.
No, you got to turn up.
Yeah.
Helen, have you seen it in the cinema?
No, sadly not. But I used to have it on DVD as well. So I've only seen it on small TV size screens, which I think I kind of like it. It just has that really kind of, I feel like they're my friends almost. Because I've kind of watched them in my own space, and it almost feels like I'm really close to them. But there are some really, really beautiful shots, and that kind of shared experience with comedy and horror are kind of good shared experiences. So I'm going to go 4.5 just because I think I would probably enjoy to see it on a big screen for the shared experience.
Yeah, the amount of times they show like Mamma Mia at a cinema, I was like, just show this once, come on. Like,
yeah, because they're doing, or they have probably done already, Mamma Mia sing-alongs, Mamma Mia 2 sing-alongs. I'd like to see it at the Prince Charles. I saw True Romance for the first time at Prince Charles like a couple of years ago, and I was like, I really liked the film beforehand, but when watching with other people, I was like, shit, this is fucking brilliant, actually.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they'd probably do a quote along for this, wouldn't they?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That would be really fun.
It'd be a great night out, I think.
So I'm going to give it a 4, because I think, not necessarily for the vistas, but for the shared viewing experience, as myself and Hannah talk about quite often, I think that it would be really, it would add a lot to the film to see it with other people who are fans of it.
That film wasn't a film, it was Scrubs. It's the episode of Scrubs where Carla's boyfriend... her brother gives him the When Harry Met Sally speech to read out to Carla, and she's not impressed. There we go. Resolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scrubs was a good sitcom.
Yeah, we've talked about that one.
Scrubs.
Sorry?
I think it's basically Brooklyn Nine-Nine kind of has a lot of Scrubs in it. But anyway, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, there was. I'd be interested to watch that now because it was all Zach Braff with. Well,
at the beginning.
No, John C. McGinley was the other kind of tour de force, wasn't he? So
I think it has a lot in with Community of the surrealness as well. Sorry, yeah.
We digress.
Yeah.
Back to scores.
Back to scores. Engagement score.
I mean, for me, it is a 5 because I don't know if it's the runtime or the way that it's done. It's so, you go from the car into the restaurant, into the next restaurant. Like everything's in these nice little segmented, clear, easy scenes. There's none of this kind of cutting and backing and throwing. It's so easy to just keep walking. And I totally agree with you. Like they're like your friends. And you could just sit there and just, oh yeah, next is a bit where, and yeah, so I was 100% engaged both times I watched it. So 5, sorry.
This comes with a little story. The third time ago that I watched this.
This is very specific. I like this story already.
I think I was ill or just at home on my own. And I started watching it. And quite often, if I start watching something that I think Jay won't like, we're a couple, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, I will stop it and go, oh, maybe Jay will actually like this. So, I'll choose to watch stuff that I don't think he'll like when I'm on my own. And then if it looks good, actually, I'll stop it and go, actually, we'll watch that together and watch something else that looks a bit naff. And, or at least naff in Jay's eyes. But yeah, so I did that with this 3 watches ago. And I was like, yeah, I'll stop it in a minute. I'll just wait for this bit and then I'll stop it. And I couldn't. I watched the whole thing. So I think I've got to give it a 5.
Oh, Joe's first 5.
Helen?
I think you know the answer to this. It's a 5. Exactly what you say, Jay. And there's nothing in it that you'd cut if you were to do a recut. Everything there serves the purpose that it's there for. Yeah. And it's just really fun to watch. And you can give an hour and a half to it easily. And yeah, I just really like this film.
I too am going for a 5.
Whoa! Oh my!
I was in 2 minds as to whether to watch it again before.
Watch it.
You're going to let me tell the story? fucking hell. I was in two minds whether to watch because I was like properly pushed for time in the moment, and I thought I know this film inside and out, but I'll just watch the first 10 minutes just to refresh my memory about it because I really liked the first scene again, and I was like, I can't put this down. I have to like watch it all to the end, which meant like going to bed late last night and waking up a bit early this morning to finish watching it off, which is testament to the film. I've seen the 20 minutes. I need to see the next 20. I need to see the bit where he does the have we and I need to see the rest of the bit. I need to see the pecan pie bit. I need to see all these kind of things. Yeah, loved it. So 5. So this gives us an overall score, and I think potentially this could be
a new winner.
A new winner. 4.78.
Oh, that's this is it, isn't it?
4.78. Let's just see.
Should there be a drum roll?
What we're doing in the shadows is 4.71. We have a new winner.
Wow. Wow.
I was not expecting that.
I was half expecting it.
Yeah.
What short film? Classic 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I can see
We do tick all the boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Wow.
Well done.
What we
You
do
get
in the
to have
shadows
you get
has
to have
been
some jelly babies.
unbeaten for what over a year.
Yeah, well over a year.
Yeah, well over a year. So
I mean, I would put what we do in the shadows high, but that's fine.
I mean, it's testament to how awesome Taika Waititi's film is because I love that. Yeah.
Also, this is like 30.
Nearly 30 years old.
1989.
I think
crazy.
I think it's that enduring aspect of it.
Yeah.
What we do in the shadows, love it to bits. Although I haven't watched it much recently, will it still endure in 30
It's not on
years'
Netflix.
time?
They took it off Netflix,
Took it
didn't
off,
they?
yeah. But will it endure in 30 years' time? Is the test, and this is it's got when Harry Met Sally's got 0.06 on it because it's endured 30 years.
But do you think
And it's still on Netflix.
Yeah.
But do you think that's also because, like I mentioned the Simpsons earlier, like
So much that
the
you know about.
cultural impact of like from knowing it, from probably hearing about the scene from someone, oh, she does this thing where she orgasms, like you said, when you're a 15-year-old boy, you kind of, I see. And then the Simpsons doing, and you just know about it so much. And then so you have this endearing love and stuff, whereas what we do in the shadows hasn't had anything apart from other Taika Waititi films to kind of keep that cultural impact going apart from the people that watch it. And
Kind of an underground hit, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think not enough people have seen that film.
No.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
But there was, I think when we scored it, I did score it because in a way that there are some people I know just would not get on with it in any way, shape or form, even though it's
The
clearly
format,
brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah, the sandwich joke probably wouldn't go down. Whereas this sandwich joke would go down quite well.
It goes
So it's
down.
different sandwich jokes.
Yeah.
It
Right,
should be the barometer for all films.
Yeah.
How many sandwich jokes does it have?
So we reached out to Twitter before recording, and we did have a very substantial response from this one. We always say we're reviewing the name of the film with JoJCast in this case. Tell us your thoughts for an on-air shout-out on Flixwatcher. Give us a 5-star review and, a short review. So, Joe, do you want to take this first one?
Sure. So the contrarians say the real love story is between Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby. 5 out of 5 restaurant orgasms.
I like the way people are getting...
Yeah, they're really getting into
Getting
this.
very, yeah.
It's good.
Jay.
So Gidget von Leroux, I don't know why I gave it a little thing there, has just put perfect romantic comedy and then the little gif of them at Chinese restaurant and can't fault it. So 5 out of 5, which I think we've established here.
Yeah, Helen.
This is from Retro Ramble blog.
Friend of the
Previous
pod.
guest, yeah. One of the best rom-coms ever made. Practically timeless with great support from Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby. 5 pecan pies.
Yeah.
Nice.
Joe, do you want to say the next one?
Sure. So Amanda's Pick Show a Go-Go, great name, say 4.5 stars. It's arguably the best rom-com ever made, and I can watch it over and over. It's also a movie I quote constantly. I do this bit every Thanksgiving. Does this mean I have to do the voice?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know if I can do it. Pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
I would like a piece of your pecan pie.
Piece of your pecan pie.
Helen.
The next one is from Top Film Tip. Couple are drawn together and pushed apart by the notion that paragender platonicism, is
Yep.
that a word? Is/isn't a myth. Orgasmic comedy. Character, what is it character? Yeah. Character-led high tide of honesty and hilarity from before movie humour dropped into the toilet. And has he done that there? 1, 2,
I think it's
3,
4.
4 out of 5 for that one.
That is in depth.
Yeah. We've got 3 more guys, so 1 more each for you guys. Joe?
So what were they thinking? Said 4 stars, really great writing, amazing chemistry between the leads.
Yeah, totally. Jay?
Death by Film Podcast said, I'm also chiming in to say it's a perfect rom-com, 5 stars.
The perfect rom-com.
Helen?
No, I'm just elaborating on Death by Film. And Helen?
So this is Scheitgeist Pod. Caught it this week on Netflix for the first time. Charming rom-com with great chemistry between the leads. Shout out to Billy Crystal's dodgy wig and sideburns at the start. And they also went for the pies, 4 pies.
Nice.
So a lot of love there.
Yeah, and echoes what we said here in this pod booth. Can you tell us where we can find you online for all our listeners?
You can find us at JoJCast on Twitter and Instagram. We are also on all the usual podcast channels like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and also on Podbean at JoJCast Pod.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Bye. Well, thanks guys for listening to Flixwatcher podcast. Please do come and find us online. We're on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod. Come and visit our website, flixwatcher.tv. Thank you so much to our fantastic editor, Brendan Russell, for his fantastic editing skills, of course, and to Mighty People for the tunes you can hear right now.